We're not on Centraal Station, yeah?
At Glimworm.
Yeah, but that's private.
I don't do anything private. Just Facebook
Stekel moet even een puntje tackelen, want we hadden in een eerdere uitzending vorige week eigenlijk ook al problemen met sommigen van de kijkers. Dat Grols het biermerk was wat op onze tafel staat.
Ja, daarvoor was ik er al over begonnen.
Jij
vindt het allemaal best, blijkbaar, maar ik trek dit er echt niet. Maar goed, nee, het loopt nu uit de hand, hè?
Het loopt nu echt uit de hand, want iemand, Karin Winters, die ook mee zit te kijken, die dacht dat we een nieuwe sponsor hadden. Hiervoor hadden we Paul, voor wie dat weet. En ik begon net over Skumkop en zij zegt van waarom laat je dan Skumkop niet sponsoren? Ja, dat is wel een belangrijk puntje. Maar als iemand mij aan connecties daar kan helpen of onze kanaal.
Ja, dus bij deze, helpen, wie iemand kent bij de Tessels brouwerij, kun je misschien nog erin gooien dat jij een Tessel liefhebber.
We kunnen dit weekend, iemand van de Tessel brouwerij, dit weekend ben ik weer op Tessel, we kunnen die deal gewoon even lokaal sluiten.
Ja, en dan nog één ding voordat we verder gaan met Paul. Ja. Wij zitten hier ook heel vaak trends te analyseren. Ik heb het net ook getwitterd. We hebben elke dinsdag 2 gasten. We hebben denk ik voor het eerst in al die jaren, in 400 interviews, 2 gasten zonder Twitter-handle.
Ja.
Ik heb net getwitterd, als dit een trend is, wat ik misschien wel denk dat het is, ik ga zo meteen gelijk mijn laatste Twitter-aandelen verkopen. Ik heb er gelukkig niet veel meer, want het staat historisch laag. Maar hoe gaat het met Twitter eigenlijk?
Nou, ik zal je wat... je weet, ik ben een heel groot... ik hou van Twitter. Tot diep in...
ja, maar dat vroeg ik niet.
Nee, dus, maar dat even als aanleiding. Maar als ik heel eerlijk ben, weet je wel, het is gewoon, het is heel erg een zendmedium geworden waar het in het begin veel meer een communicatiemedium was. Natuurlijk zijn nog steeds gesprekken, dus iedereen die zegt van ja, maar ik heb heel veel nog. Maar het is echt veel minder dan het geweest is. Dus als ik nu een gesprek wil voeren, de communicatie over iets wat ik leuk vind, belangrijk vind, et cetera.
Ga je naar Facebook?
Dan ga ik naar Facebook, ja. Dan gebeurt het daar. En dat vind ik eigenlijk heel erg jammer, want het is een gesloten netwerk en Twitter is een open netwerk. En daar kan iedereen aanschuiven, zeg maar. Dus dat vind ik het element daarvan vind ik veel krachtiger. Maar met z'n allen zijn we dat kennelijk steeds minder aan het gebruiken.
Oké, dus ik kan beter verkopen.
Je kan beter verkopen, maar je moet wel je account, je
Twitter account.
De aandelen, ja, die kan je beter verkopen.
Ja.
Dat,
sorry, let's switch to English. The reason that Paul, most welcome. You do the introduction as well.
Okay. Yeah. Paul, maar je spreekt wel Nederlands toch? Klein beetje. Just
enough
to get yourself in trouble.
Maar ja, ik ga maar door mijn moedertaal. Dat vind ik best.
Ja.
Voor allemaal.
Ja.
Now we were discussing that you were the second guest tonight without a Twitter handle.
Yes, I understood the conversation.
Yeah, why is that?
I have my private life and I have my public life, and I manage my public life much differently than my private life. A lot of people probably wouldn't understand, but I have got to keep very strict borders between the two. And I have over 300 clients in my company, so in the beginning, I would get tweets or I would get people on my Facebook or people emailing me complaining about the server being down or the email being slow in the middle of the night. So I just keep it very strict.
Yeah. Hey, and you're here because Glimworm, a nice name, and I think a quite difficult one to pronounce for a lot of your English, American, etc. Friends, the way I do it at least. I know, I've known you for a couple of years. One of the things you're really active with is the so-called beacons, iBeacons. We've talked about that subject in different programs, in Top Names as well, but you never know who's watching now. So let's start at the beginning. What is a beacon, what is iBeacons, and why is it important?
Well, iBeacon is a protocol by Apple that utilizes Bluetooth Low Energy BLE devices that are on Apple iPhones, but it also can be on a Samsung or an Android phone as well, a smartphone that has Bluetooth capabilities, And low energy is important because before low energy protocol existed with Bluetooth, the devices couldn't operate on very small batteries, and they couldn't be very, very portable and very discreet. So in, I think it was November of 2013, with the first iBeacon protocol was introduced by Apple.
Yep.
And then pretty quickly, then Android came on board, and now you have Google with Eddystone, which is on board as well. So basically, just Bluetooth low energy enabled devices that send a signal, that create actions on your smartphone or a wearable device that receives and transmits Bluetooth.
Yeah, but
signals.
okay, so let's make it concrete now.
Yeah.
So why is that interesting? Why is it important? And why did you think, when this came up, this is something I want to do something with?
Well, specifically the reason is because it can create really intuitive, interactive, and seamless experiences. So before, you have like RFID and NFC, and you have all these other protocols that make it so that you have to push a button, or you have to wave something, or you have to
be really close to the sensor.
You have to be really close to the device.
Yeah.
But you also have like geofencing, which is latitude and longitude, which also you have to. It's not specific enough. Or it can be specific enough if you're outside, but if you're inside, it's useless because you need GPS. So specifically inside interactivity, and also seamless interactivity. So you don't have to do anything. It can just trigger content to come depending on what we call a hyperlocation, and it can create what we call hyper-relevant
and why
experiences.
is that so interesting?
Well, it can be really specific.
You have started large projects within your company. You're investing money, so you must believe this is going to change the world.
Well, it is. There's a lot of opportunities that are now out there that never existed before.
But give us some examples.
We work a lot with museums. Okay, so inside there's no real indoor navigation with museums that's effective.
Yeah, so iBeacons makes that possible to navigate through a closed environment.
Not just navigate, but beacons, we say beacons give things a personality. They give things a reason and a way to talk to people. Right, so if I'm in a painting, like we're doing an installation in the Hermitage, and it's an installation about people from the Golden Age, people long dead, paintings from the 17th century. But they're works of art, and they were people back then. And so we're working with Lava Labs that create a social media experience, and this experience gives people in the paintings a voice and a way to talk to me based on hyperlocation. So I'll bring my phone in, and I'll download the app, and all of a sudden I can have a dialogue with the past.
As a rather, if you are a cynical person, you say, okay, it's just a technology, because we could do that for ages. If you would have put a sign at the painting, press number 23 on your tape recorder, you could have done the same.
Yes, but it's about creating seamless experiences. So it's about delivering information and media content.
So the only new thing about it is that it's seamless.
Well, it works on the smartphone, because that's what everybody uses. People use a smartphone to integrate with the world, to communicate.
No, but you
with
could
the
have
world.
said, I make an iPhone app for the Hermitage. All the paintings have a number. You start the app, and you push the number of the painting, and you get everything about that painting.
And they've done that before with the QR codes. So with the QR code, you'd have to hold the QR code in front of the painting. It's not seamless. It's a step you have to take. It's a barrier between you and having a relationship with the object.
But at least it's your action to get the information. No, it can be also experienced as intrusive.
No, because it's opt-in. It's opt-in. When you download the app, you opt in to receive notifications.
Yeah, it's not.
But then you might receive 200 notifications while walking in the Hermitage. Not only.
Yeah, but that would just be a bad user experience designed by some bad designers.
Okay.
It's about creating relevancy, so that you get the right message at the right time, at the right place, on the device that you want to engage with the world. But it's not just about museums, it's about e-health, about education, wayfinding, transportation, public transportation.
Okay, so it's about everything. So let's try to make, if you talk about e-health, give me the example that makes you really enthusiastic about this technology.
Wearables, very, very interesting. So instead of like having outpatient care specifically, so you've had an operation, right? So the doctor wants to monitor your heart rate and your blood pressure. So instead of having to sit down and take your blood pressure and then recording it, or you could actually have a device, a wearable device, and there are devices that exist that monitor your blood pressure and your pulse rate.
For this you don't need iBeacons at all. You buy a Withings blood pressure meter, you connect it to your phone, and you have the option to send that automatically to your GP.
Wearables work with iBeacon protocol much more seamlessly. So I can have a wearable that will basically just send a signal and broadcast that, and then with the app trigger the data to go up to the cloud, and then it can be monitored by
But then it's more about low energy Bluetooth.
Oh yeah, but that's what Beacon is low energy.
But it's also location based.
Yes, yeah.
I'm still trying to understand the essence of why this.
I think a good question of Johan Schaap asks is, sometimes beacons feel like a little bit like Layer, the Dutch startup. Now, in the sense that he said a solution without a problem. So what are the really groundbreaking projects, he asks?
Well, one of the best projects so far, the most successful one, has been with our partners who are our transportation consultants. The name of the company is AdVA. They're working down in Limburg with Veolia. And they created...
That's the transport company?
Yes, train company.
Train, bus,
yeah. And they have a very specific mandate, and that is to get students to travel outside of the traffic, outside the spits. Yeah. So that they leave earlier or to go to their classes at university, or they leave later, but they travel outside of the congested traffic. So they have an app called Reizenrijk.
Yeah.
And that app has been tested. We started working with them last December, and it's actually quite a successful test. They incentivize students. The students download the app, and if they travel outside the spits, they get points, and they can redeem these points for free Spotify and free Netflix and some other things as well. But the only way they can get those points is if they have the app, and when they get to the platform, the beacon triggers a notification. And the beacon says, "Are you traveling? Do you want to get points?" And they say, yes. It says, well, you're traveling outside the spit, so you qualify for points. Start your journey. You start your journey, you get on the train, and beacons that are on the train confirm that you're on the train. You travel from wherever it is you're traveling to your endpoint. You get off the train, the beacons confirm that you've gotten off the train. You leave the platform, the beacons confirm that you leave the platform. Done. You get the points.
Yeah.
And the conversion rate is over 50%.
Okay.
Hey, I think we've got a movie of that, because one of the projects you've been doing is around sail, because you have a project in Amsterdam. That's the Beacon Mile is called, I think?
Well, the project is called the iBeacon Living Lab.
Yeah. And
the Beacon Mile is the first phase of that project.
Yeah. And what is the project before we are going to watch the...
The iBeacon Living Lab is a project with the City of Amsterdam that is specifically to give a jump start to the IoT economy. So it's giving developers and companies and platform providers a playground, so to speak, in the city, in a public place, between Central Station and the Marine Terrein, which is near the Scheepvaart Museum. So there's about 3.4 kilometers of beacons and also LoRaWAN enabled beacons that are open to developers to play with and to prototype and test products and services and apps and interactivity, sensor beacons, sensor enabled devices, Raspberry Pis, Arduinos, whatever. Yeah. And they can play with it in the environment, prototype and test.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what have you
have a look at the video?
Yeah, what have you been doing around Sail?
Well, with Sail specifically, we connected with Sail early on, and we wanted to give them the opportunity to integrate historical content about the historical marine environment, so the marine Gebiet. The harbor, the old Amsterdam harbor. So we gave them the opportunity then to use the beacons to that end. In the end, they did use the beacons on the mile, but because of some restrictions they had, they weren't able to actually use the historical content, but they did use the beacons to facilitate some information triggered by the hyperlocation in the environment.
So it's not the project you're the most proud of yet?
Well, I'm proud of the fact that an organization as large as Sail, with an audience 2.4 million people, as large as Sail, were open to the technology, and our partners in Beacon were really cooperative, super cooperative, and we all tried very hard to work with digital culture and the Belden Cloud Institute to provide the opportunities for people to engage in historical content that related to sailboats and historical sailboats and the harbor. Unfortunately, it's just one step. It's one step that brings us closer to more possibilities.
Okay, let's have a look at the video.
Let's have a look at the video.
Yeah, this is the Beacon Mile. So it starts at Central Station. It goes along the Oosterdokade. And so when you see a signal here, there's a beacon that is attached to the telephone poles. So we can attach anything we want to the telephone poles. We have in front of the Openbare Bibliotheek, we have a Raspberry Pi sniffing Bluetooth devices. And up here, right before you get to the bridge, we have a LoRa-enabled beacon that actually gathers temperature and humidity. We're just testing that right now. So there is the world's first active open LoRa network and gateway. The Nemo Museum is coming up here, and they're very enthusiastic about getting people outside of or walking around into the Nemo Museum to engage with their collection, but also extending their digital collection outside of the Nemo. And this is a very interesting area here. These are all old historical ships, and we do have the iBeacon Mile Explorer app, which does have content about these ships, and we're adding content to it all the time, and we're also adding more and more apps. So this is an open platform, open to all apps. We have at least 8 apps. One is Bardagi, one is Monumentum, one is WeCity. There are several apps that are using the beacons, like Sail did, in order to provide hyperlocation and hyper-relevant experiences. We're talking to the Scheepvaart Museum tomorrow about how to get their digital collection out on the mile so people can engage in culture. And we're coming up to the Marine Terrein, which is the home.
There's your office, isn't it?
That's the home of our new office.
Yeah.
And so
I think to the left here?
Yep, to the left.
Yeah.
And that's Smart Cities is there.
Yeah.
And the people at the Marine Terrein are also very cooperative, and we're installing beacons throughout the Marine Terrein to give people opportunities to alert people that they're on their way for an appointment, and also to direct people where to go, because it's very difficult to find people on the Marine Terrein. There's no signs, there's no doorbells.
Yeah.
So we've created what we call like a virtual doorbell.
Yeah.
But let's take some a remark from Roos van Vught on Twitter. She says, beacons is volgens mij alleen maar te begrijpen als je het zelf een keer hebt gebruikt. Ik kan het nog steeds niet Jip en Janneke uitleggen. Did you get that? She says, you can only understand it if you can only explain it if you have used it. Also, she can not explain it, in very easy language. But
well, the easiest explanation I have for it is it delivers the right message at the right time, at the right place, to the right person. But that's a very oversimplistic way of explaining it. Another simple way of explaining it is it triggers actions on your smartphone based on hyperlocation. Yeah. But that's also too simplistic. It's really about, it's a very young technology, so UX designers like me and developers are still exploring the ways that it creates value.
Yeah, but if I always get a bit, I feel uncomfortable if it takes too long. If developers are exploring and exploring and exploring, and I haven't seen the killer app. I mean, why is Apple not? They launched it 2-3 years ago. It was like a sideline in iOS.
Well, for
8,
iOS 7, iOS 7.
Since then,
7.1, exactly.
Since then, I haven't heard anything from Cupertino.
Well, yeah. The fact of the matter is that Apple is making a huge play for seamless payment. So, for Apple, I think the future with beacon technology and beacon-enabled interactivity is about seamless payment, and they're making a play in that space, definitely. They patented anything to do with beacon-enabled payments, and they are rolling out.
Yeah, so
and Marco Dex is saying beacons are the cookies of the offline world. Do you agree with that?
I would say, yeah. No, that's also oversimplistic, but to put it the most simple way to explain beacons, and what's interesting about it,
that's what
it's first of all low energy, so it goes wherever. So it can be on a boat, and the boat goes with it, right? Or it goes with the boat. So it can be my car, it can go with my car. It can be on me. It can be peer to peer. It can be a person to object, object to person. But what it does is it sends a signal out. Simple as that, a radio signal, and that signal can go out 50 meters. But it has what's called ranging, so it can be far, intermediate, or near. So then as you get closer to an object, say you're in a boat, right? And you're coming up to a glacier, and that glacier has a beacon on it, right? And you're getting close to that glacier, the glacier sends a signal, and then the app can send a signal to you saying, hey, you're getting close to a glacier, you better turn. But as you get closer to it, it can also say, hey, you're getting too close to this glacier, turn now.
Yeah.
And then when you get really, really close to it, you can say, you're fucked. Yeah. You're going to crash.
No, send the last wish. Send the last wish. Yeah, but that, by the way, explains because you had a bad experience on Lowlands with beacons, that you were checked in several concerts, you were not at all present. Well, so probably the range
didn't
of the
seem
beacons
precise enough to me, because it was a really nice idea. Like you say, you had like 2 examples, 2 apps. One of the apps said you go to a tent to see a band and you check in by
NFC,
I think, by something
RFID,
like whatever it was. And another app, you didn't have to do that because it knew where you were, And of course, as a user, it only works when it works really well. As a maker, it works a little bit because you're getting to your goal. But as a user, and I had the experience, a band to be quite honest, hate. And according to the app, I'd been to the gig. And that was part of my diary of the Lowlands Festival. And another gig said you were half of the gig there, and I was all the time at the front. So that was the moment where I thought, I see the promise, but at the same time, and I don't know why it was, because I don't know the technology, of course. But it is a promise and still a long way to go. That's how I felt.
You have a very good point, and that is what a lot of people are struggling with, is successful use cases. We spend a lot of our time consulting with companies and organizations that are trying to create value with the technology because of a lack of understanding, hardware-wise or software-wise, which we're both very good at, because we've been as a software company for 15 years, and as a hardware company only for 2. But before then, we were also experienced with hardware since 2010. But again, it's really it's not about saying like this is the solution for a problem that doesn't exist. It's about what's your audience and how do you engage them. And sometimes you would say, well, you don't need this.
Yeah, but you were mentioning so many examples that you can easily do with other devices using RFID. You mentioned e-health, the blood pressure thing. You know, it already exists without beacons. A lot of location-based things, you can do it with your telephone without any problems. So that makes it so confusing for... It's about exploring the seamless And then the
aspect.
big disadvantage that is also mentioned on Twitter by... let me check, that you have to... Corsa, that you have to download an app. I mean, that's really a big barrier for a lot of people to try one of those experiments. He's mentioned also Passbook.
In my experience with the industry is that you really have to have a specific reason to communicate with an audience and deliver value the way that you create new opportunities for interactivity or a dialogue with your audience. With museums, it's very clear.
Yeah, that's clear, but let's go back to that example. And I think that's also really a problem, that a lot of the initiatives are rather commercial from the beginning. Like, for example, that, you know, beacons was the solution for the offline retail, for the stores, because that was the way to learn to know their audience and the people who were inside the store.
Yeah, well,
then I want to go back.
We didn't experience that at all.
It didn't work at all.
No.
Why? People, Marco Derksen said the beacons are the cookies of the offline world. Well, I remove my cookies all the time because I don't want. I will never. I'm not going to download the Bijenkorf app because I want to get, you know, advertisement pushed at me all the time.
Again, that would be a bad user design. I would never recommend to any of my clients to send push notifications based on this is here, this is here, this is here, this is here, this is here. That's not what it's about. And I've advised a lot of people not to do that. It's about, again, it's about finding the message that creates, again, a new opportunity. Why we like data, why we use open data all the time.
And that's why you're probably so involved in the smart city initiatives, because that's much more promising, I think, eh?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes. Cities.
And the culture things as well. I think that's your...
Culture is something we've been engaged with digitally for a very long time. So one of our biggest clients is Europeana, and they're Europe's digital library. So they have over 27 million linked open data items. And we created their app, Open Culture, and digital libraries and reaching people, bringing digital archives out of the walls of the museums and into the cities, where people can then relate to objects, is to us interesting.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, but the smart cities as well.
And smart cities with transportation, parking solutions, again, incentivizing people to travel outside of the traffic congestion, the traffic jam, we used to call it in LA. But creating opportunities for people to make choices and presenting them with choices when they're making that choice. And then giving them the option to say, oh, this is an alternative. Or giving them the option to engage in something that otherwise they wouldn't engage with.
Bert de Boer says the best iBeacon solution he knows is in shipping container freight. It is already huge.
Yeah, it's huge.
He says.
Massive.
So what is that? Checking where?
Well, yeah. That's a huge industry. It's massive. So shipping containers have been GPS enabled for many, many years. So IoT and shipping containers have been going hand in hand for years to track shipments from one country to another, and to even monitor the temperature and the humidity inside and outside. So IoT solutions and containers have been going on for years and years and years.
Yeah, and IoT is
also
Internet
shipping.
Of, Internet of Things.
Yeah. So GPS specifically.
I have a good question from Thomas Engel. He's very knowledgeable from the Capitals, on an app development technology company. He said, well, the iBeacons is the Bluetooth advertisement zuil of today. And he is asking if Laura, you mentioned it also, we had last week Wienke Gieseman here who explained us all about it. If Laura is not more promising, and his question to you is, if you have to choose between building a business on iBeacons or on the Laura LAN network, what would you choose?
Both. We're pioneers in both of the technologies. We're actually integrating the two technologies. And Wienke is a good friend of ours. We've known him for years.
Yeah, so you share his enthusiasm.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we're part of the Things Network.
And, for everybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, watch Wienke Gieseman. We had him last week about this, but in summary, the LoRa network is like an open sourced a network protocol where which makes it possible to have sensors everywhere that communicate through this network with each other and with all kind of apps. Huh?
Sort of.
Again, not an easy explanation. It's a protocol. It's a new protocol, and again, it's low energy, so it creates a lot of opportunities for very small devices, broadcasting and transmitting.
Who can run for months on a small battery?
Yeah. Years.
Yeah.
Specifically, he is creating a network of LoRa gateways.
Yeah.
So there's 10 LoRa gateways in Amsterdam. Yeah. And a LoRa gateway can transmit 30 miles or 30 kilometers.
No, but everybody wants to know, can watch Wienke. It's just, if I want to know if that makes it your whole iBeacon thing maybe already out of date again.
No. It creates another layer of value. Mm-hmm. Because now we actually have created LoRa-enabled beacons, which are on the mile that we use.
So through that network, you connect your beacons. That is what you do.
Yes, that network. Yeah. Well, we work with 3 networks. We work with whatever works, and the Things Network is one of them. And they're great because they're crowdsourced and they're open source, and we like that. We also use other M2M protocols, machine-to-machine protocols. And experiment with those. But the machine-to-machine protocols basically enable data to be transmitted and received. Now, a beacon only transmits a signal, but a LoRa-enabled beacon can be reconfigured. It can we can attach sensors to it, and the LoRa network can then receive and transmit more valuable information to the cloud, but can also then transmit that information to an app, and then that information can go into the back end where a beacon triggers an action on an app on a phone.
Yeah.
Now, LoRa can't trigger an action on a phone. A LoRa can do nothing with a phone. A LoRa can only transmit and receive very, very, very small packets of data. It can monitor based on the sensors that it's attached to and that it utilizes: temperature, light, sound, noise, whatever. And that's what it's used for. You can't use it for chat. You can't use it for any kind of streaming media or any content. But apps, of course, have content. Now, beacons can trigger content seamlessly. Yeah. So if you create interactivity between a LoRa network and a beacon, then you can create really interesting, real-time, dynamic interactivity.
Yeah. A question of Karin Winters. She works in education. She says, at schools, kids have to be at school for an amount of hours. Is it possible to check in and out secure and be sure that that's true? And later on she says, okay, smart cities, but what about smart schools? Do you see opportunities over there?
Yes, there's an app specifically that we work with called My School app. I believe it's called My School, and it's fairly successful. Actually, there's a scheduling and reservation system with rooms. You can actually, again, depending on whether the students do have smartphones or don't, whether they have the smartphones with Bluetooth activated or not. Depending on a few things, you can create an environment where seamlessly you can find out if a student has been to a class or not. Yes.
Yeah, I think Maurice de Hond is using it in his iPad Steve Jobs schools. Because every student is carrying an iPad, which has to be Bluetooth enabled, and in every classroom is an iBeacon, so you can monitor exactly how long every student is in which class.
Again, like with the Reiserijk app, it just creates seamless activity in the
they don't
background.
have to do anything,
and you don't have to push any buttons. You walk into an environment, you walk out an environment, and then that data is then sent to the cloud.
Remco Bron, you know him,
Hey,
of
Remco.
course, and it's one of the events you co-organized. I spoke to him as well, and he's really active in with the beacons, and he developed something. His company developed something for sale as well, and he says for sale. We use the beacon mile, and 9% of the iBeacon proximity notifications were sent from that area.
Really, 9%?
Yeah, 9%.
Wow.
So
that's pretty good.
That's good. Listening to you, it's iBeacon can do a lot of things, can be of value in a lot of situations. Is that the problem as well in explaining it? Because if we ask something and then you have to say, yeah, you can use it for that as well. Does it make it more difficult?
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's exactly why we created the iBeacon Living Lab. Because we were busy with our requests for information from all over the world, right? I mean, people from Saudi Arabia, China, whatever, saying, hey, can I do this? We started ignoring it, you know, because there's just too much. We were bombarded. And also here locally in the Netherlands, we were going and giving workshops everywhere and trying to educate people about it. And of course we host the IoT meetup. We're very active in Amsterdam. Hi, Mike Lee, are you there? So we spend a lot of time knowledge sharing and spreading information out there and educating people about the technology. What we decided was we were doing that too much because it's a huge investment. It's a huge amount of time we spend going out there and telling people how things work. So we decided to go to the city of Amsterdam and say, hey, look, we can kickstart the IoT economy. There's a lot of opportunities out there. Gartner's predicting that by 2020, there's going to be 26 billion IoT connected items sending data to the cloud. By 2000, it's in 5 years. Yeah. It's a huge growth. So we said, let's provide an environment where people can explore the possibilities themselves. Because we can't come up with all these.
Yeah.
It's just too much for us.
Yeah. No, so it's just, that was one of the questions I had. I mean, it's really early stage, and I can't imagine you're making any money from our videos at the moment. I mean, there must be a limit to the amount of time you are willing to invest in this.
Yes, but we're in a very fortunate position. We've been a company for a long time. We have a good client base. Yeah. So we can bootstrap this thing. We have good partners, Tweetonig and Sven Erik Heitema. We have other people that are giving us a lot of support in the whole school from Amsterdam, Smart Cities, the city of Amsterdam are helping with the budget, IBM, KPN, the Things Network, those guys. This is how it's supposed to work for us. We're supposed to provide the environment where we can create value as a community. Yeah. And if we provide that environment and feed that environment, we'll get jobs and we'll get money. I mean, it's not, the hardware side of it is not exploding right now. But that'll come.
Yeah, the biggest problem, of course, as I also understood from you, but I also experience that all the time, with every new phone that comes out, the battery problem is not solved. Because the batteries get bigger and higher capacity, but the phones need more energy all the time and new apps, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. I always have my Bluetooth off. Yeah, Wi-Fi off.
Battery management is definitely a problem.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
It eats your phone. All those apps, they eat your battery. I mean, half a day, quarter of a day, 2 hours. I'm really fed up with all those.
Yes, I understand the problem.
Yeah. Hey, a couple of things people are saying. Eko Koistra says, check light curb built by Snakeware. I don't know if you know the company, yeah. And they later on someone from Snakeware or the person who is Snakeware or says thanks. And with light curb beacon platform, we're already 1.5 years working internationally to get it going. Remco Bron says in the US. There are tests with beacons for safety schools, sort of panic buttons he calls them, and he And see my Twitter handle.
The University of Tennessee is doing an outdoor safety, and they've actually spoken to us about creating an entire beacon network on the campus of the University of Tennessee to create a panic button because apparently women are afraid at dark, walking around at dark.
One interesting thing from Remco, after my complaint about the telephone battery life, that they are measuring that about 50% of the people Bluetooth standard on.
Always on.
Always on. About half.
Well, I've done a lot of research, and I've seen numbers up to 70%, depending on the country and the demographic.
Okay.
If there's a reason for you to have the Bluetooth on, and you have a good reason to have it on, I've seen research specifically done by a platform that provided beacons in grocery stores in the United States, and I think the engagement was above 70% of Bluetooth devices being on.
Okay, we'll take the rest of the questions.
I'll finish off with this one. Robin Wollenberg says, iBeacons zijn gewoon tof. In combination with Google Glass, it's great. But I don't know if that's if that is a compliment, to be quite honest. Google Glass, whatever happened to it?
we did work with it. And we did create some fun stuff. But time will always tell.
Yeah. Okay, man. Thanks a lot, and we of course we'll talk again. And the good thing to see is that a lot of people who are working in this field have been watching, have been listening as well. And like you say, we'll look at some extra questions if they're there. We stoppen nu in ieder geval voor dit gedeelte, wat ook on demand te aanschouwen is. Iedere dinsdagavond zijn we er, volgende week dinsdag zijn we er natuurlijk weer. Maar we sluiten nooit af zonder te bedanken Streamzilla uit Groningen, die ervoor zorgt dat deze uitzending iedere dinsdagavond doen we het doorgaans, live te zien is. On demand vind je alles terug bij YouTube en fastmovingtargets.nl vanzelfsprekend. En je weet, voor een tientje per maand word je FMT-member. Kijk op het URL en daar vind je wat je er allemaal voor terugkrijgt. Dankjewel.
Dag.